Welcome back, everybody, to Rob's MetalWorks. We are here at the home studio this evening, continuing our pursuit of the best in regional music from right here in the Lone Star State. Brings me great pleasure to, welcome one of our own from here in San Antonio, the band called Down Generation. You've heard me talk about them. I have with me Jason Shakes West and the man Mauricio. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good, brother. How you doing? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great, man. Yeah, doing real good. Thank you for having us in, and it's good to be back for sure.
Yeah, Shakes, great to have you back. And Mauricio, you are now crossing over as a local musician here in town that we are celebrating, man. Definitely, you were someone that I wanted to get on the show as well because I'm a big fan of your voice. So welcome.
Thanks a lot, man. Glad to be here. Glad to finally be here. You know, I've been following you for many, many years, man. Like I've told you before, a few of the first times when we first met, you know, you introduced me to some of my favorite bands, you know, back in the day. So it's really a great pleasure to be here, man. Thank you.
You know, I've been talking about Down Generation for about a year now, it seems, and you know, I'm glad to finally officially have the opportunity to talk to you about the band because there's been some things happening. But Shakes, I know that you're kind of at the heart of this band, and kind of like the first things, you know, that I want to talk to you about is, you know, and obviously people know that you were kind of transcended kind of being in you know, a band because you kind of do all kinds of things with your drumming. When did you kind of realize that you wanted to do your own thing and really kind of write and share some of your own music?
Basically, you know, I've been kind of writing stuff. I think I started writing guitar riffs and stuff when I was around like 18 or 19. So like even the song Self-Destruction, I wrote that when I was 19 years old. Wow. I've had that whole thing like and never recorded it, and, you know, I just never forgot it, you know. I always had it, and you know, this just came about. You know, basically, I had invested in a digital board for my in-ear rig. You know, my in-ear monitors and stuff, and invested in all the mics and that, and it has recording capability. So I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna start recording my own stuff. You know, so. Yeah. You know, originally it was just, you know, at first it was just for fun. I wasn't planning on really doing anything with it. You know, it was just kind of me learning how to record, you know. So yeah, you know, I started demoing out some of this stuff and kind of sharing it around to some people, and they were like, dude, it's cool. Didn't have any vocals on or nothing yet, you know. They were like, yeah, we like the riffs and all that stuff. So I just kind of thought about, well, at first I was thinking about, you know, okay, I'm gonna put out my own solo deal, like, you know, I had, you know, I didn't even really know what I was going to call it yet. I kind of had Shakes 1976, that's year born. I jammed with him, with Mauricio here in the Seventh Son, the Iron Maiden tribute. And, you know, God, you know, first time I heard that guy come over and sing, and I was like, damn, man, you know, so yeah, just one day after rehearsal, I was like, hey, man, you know, I got like some of these songs demoed out. You think you'd want to try and put lyrics to them? Because that's one thing I'm not good at, is coming up with lyrics. You know, I just never was good at that, and I can't, you know, I don't sing myself. So you know, I asked this guy, you know, if he'd be interested in just helping me out. God, you know, he came in, he was like, yeah, give me a few weeks, you know, and I'll come up with some stuff. And he came in to my house and demoed out vocals pretty much at, you know, pretty much the whole same idea as you hear it on the record today.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was just like, you know, he'd do a song. What do you think? I'm like, fuck, dude. That is badass. Like, you know, do you think, you know, we need to change anything? Or like, you know, I think we, you know, we changed a couple little small things, but man, for the most part, it's just how he did it.
So the demos you did, just on the demos that you guys did to, you know, get the songs together, you were doing the guitars and the drums too?
Yeah, I did the guitar, drums, and a bass, all the bass, yeah, on the demos. And then on the actual record, I did all the rhythm guitars, the drums. I did bass on Self-Destruction and Fix Me.
I think when you first kind of announced the project, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, but initially the band was going to be called the Jason West Project. I remember that was a name that had come out, and I was really excited about that. Obviously, people know Jason Shakes West. And then eventually, I think it transitioned into Down Generation. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, you know, the stuff was coming out so good, you know, and I was like, well, I got this guy now. You know, maybe I'll just make a band out of it and kind of take it a little more seriously than I originally was gonna, you know? So, you know, I already had Bird, because Bird did all the solos on it, you know, and so I called Bird up and I was like, you know, think about actually putting this together as a band, you know, what do you think? And he was like, yeah, I'm down, you know. To me, of course, he was down, you know. So
initially, was it just going to be like a release with no band, just like, hey, here's my music, I'm putting it out. Yeah. You know, we're not going to do shows. It's just music. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So when you changed it to the band name, then it was like, we're gonna
start doing some stuff. Yeah.
Okay, got it,
Yep.
got it. I was always kind of wondering that. I was like, why did he do that? I don't know. But you know, I know you're a humble dude too, and I know I got to share some of the spotlight, you know, with my bandmates who are contributing a lot. And Mauricio, you know, one of the things too that I love about the record is the lyrics, and you put together some killer lyrics, man. And I remember the first track that Shake sent me was the Rest My Head song, and when I heard that track, man, I was like punched. It was like a Mike Tyson left hook, man. It hit me really hard. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I was super, super excited. So Mauricio, let me ask you, man, talk a little bit about the lyrical content and the title Self-Destruction for this record.
Well, you know, like he was saying, he gave me the tracks with no vocals or lyrics on them. I took a little while. The very first one that he gave me was "Rest My Head."
Oh, okay.
The track, you know, no vocals or anything like that, and it was so different for me at the time because, you know, I've been doing music for a long time, and I've been doing like, you know, power metal, heavier stuff, kind of a lot of the European sounding symphonic stuff like that. So that's kind of what I was used to. I had never had the chance to be in like just a good old fashioned rock band, which is always what I wanted because that's where my heart's always been. Yeah. So with the first song he gave me, I was like, man, it's such great riffs, you know, the guitar work is so good, and it kind of threw me for a loop at first because I wasn't used to writing with that kind of stuff. But a few weeks later, I still hadn't even come up with any ideas for Rest My Head, and he was like, well, you know, I have this other track, you know, check this one out, and that one was Self-Destruction. Oh, okay. And as soon as I heard, you know, the first few seconds, I was like, oh, okay, this, you know, I can easily work with. So I actually finished Self-Destruction first. And after a while, a few weeks later, I started working on Rest My Head. And, you know, once I kind of figured out some of the melodies and stuff like that, the lyrical content for that one is, it's actually a very special song to me, man. I'm glad you asked about that because at first, you know, I just kind of, it was something so different. I didn't know what to write about at first, and I just started thinking to myself, you know what, just write what you feel, you know, instead of trying to come up with, oh, what's a cool subject for this song, or, you know, that kind of stuff. I was like, just write about what you're feeling right now, man, you know. And the last original band I was in had been broken up for like about 2 years, so I hadn't had those creative juices flowing in quite a while. So, dude, I just started jotting down lines, man, about how I was feeling at the time. And, you know, it's kind of like, you know, we were just talking about this a minute ago, you know, I'm gonna be 30 here this year, and, you know, you kind of start thinking about what you've done and where you've been, and, you know, friends from times past and all that kind of stuff. So I was just writing down lines, and, you know, it's kind of, I started kind of feeling about the kind of lifestyle that we live, you know, this rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah. And not a lot of people outside of this world kind of understand how we see things. Right. You know, so you meet friends, you meet people come and go out of your life, and it's, a lot of times people don't understand what we're doing, and so that's where the line came from. I'll rest my head when I get there, you know, because it's like I have a vision where I want to go, and we look at it in a lot of the same way. So, you know, that's basically what that song was about. Self-Destruction, you know, that one, I guess that one does have a little bit more. It's a little bit more serious topics, dude. You know, you kind of, if you guys listen to the words, it's about what's going on in the world. That was kind of more of me, of kind of just like trying to scream out and say, God, man, I really wish people would, you know, pick their heads up and take a look around the world and see what's going on. You know, it's right there in the lyrics, man. If we all head for self-destruction, would you ride, or would you say something? Would you speak up? Would you scream out for your life? You know, so that's, and funny that you mentioned about the Down Generation thing, because I was actually on a trip. A few buddies of mine were driving to California to see one of my favorite bands in LA. And at the time, we didn't have a band name yet. And we were like somewhere in Arizona somewhere at the time, and he texted me, he's like, hey dude, what do you think about the name Down Generation for the band? And at the time, I was trying to come up with lyrics. I had lyrics for the song Down Generation, but I didn't have the hook. Yeah. And I saw the message, and he's like, "What do you think about the name Down Generation?" And I was like, "Dude, that's it. That's it right there, man." So
it encompasses the whole thing. And I'm glad. One of the things that kind of really impacted me lyrically was that, you talk about real topics, and I think a lot of the sentiments that a lot of people have in this crazy world that we live in nowadays. It's so fast paced, and I think it's the most unpredictable world that we've ever lived in. So. Yeah, man, great.
That's definitely what I was going for, and I kind of had a feeling once all the stuff kind of started coming together. I had a feeling that a lot of this stuff was going to resonate with a lot of people because, just like you said, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm writing down all the stuff that I feel, but I know I'm not the only one that feels this way right now. There's a lot of people out there going through a lot of stuff. The last 10, 15 years in this country have been pretty wild. So yeah, man, I had a feeling people were gonna feel the stuff.
And two, I mean, the CD sounds really good. I mean, the songs just sound so awesome. So like, where did you record them at?
I did it all at my house actually. Everything was done at my house, and then I got Brian Scott on board to mix it for me, and we did vocals over there because I've gotten acclimated to tracking like instruments, vocals just kind of freaks me out a little bit,
Is that the last thing you do?
Yeah, it's the last thing. Yeah, everything was done. Yeah, and then I got with Brian. I was like, I want you to mix it, but can we do the vocals over at your house? Because I know you're gonna, obviously he's, very experienced in that, So.
You think used to do a lot of takes?
Actually, not really.
The funny thing about that was that he told me before we went out there, he's like, "Yeah, man, Brian said this dude."
Better be ready.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "You better be ready, man, because we're gonna put you to work." So I'm like over here, I've known about Brian for many years. I was a teenager when Union Underground came out, so I was like really stoked to meet him and go work with him.
Yeah.
And so he told me that, and I'm like, "Oh shit, man, I better be on my A game that day."
Go to bed early.
And dude, we showed up, and dude, we just went through the songs maybe like 2 or 3 times each, and Brian's like, "We're good." I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah, it was actually a really simple process. I couldn't believe it because I figured Brian would Brian's gonna, he's producing it too, so he might have vocal ideas or just ways of doing things different. And I was sitting out with Brian when he was in singing, and Brian was like, number one, he's like, "I think this is like the easiest vocalist I've ever recorded, number one." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "everything he's doing fucking sounds awesome. I really, I don't have anything to add to it or things that I think should be changed or nothing. I think, we'll just let him roll with it and, just get a few takes and, layer some stuff or do whatever, Yeah, man, it was simple. I couldn't believe it myself. I was just like, wow, every day we left, and we'd be over there for what, like maybe 2 to 3 hours at a time, It wasn't like an all day thing, we kind of just, take it a song at a time, really, I think we went back there maybe 4 times, 5 times.
Yeah, I think we did them 2 at a time. The first ones were Rest My Head and Self-Destruction, and then we went back for Down Generation and Fix Me, and then we went back a 3rd time just to do the harmonies and some of the other layers and some of the chanting stuff in there. Shakes and I and Brian just got in there in the booth, all 3 of us, to do some of the crowd chanting stuff, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of surprised me a little bit, I think, is we kind of had our favorite songs, which I think for me is probably still Self-Destruction, and we once we finished Down Generation, we're like, dude, we got a pretty cool jam here. Yeah. So I thought kind of Self-Destruction was going to be kind of one of the ones that had caught people's attention right off the bat, but it was a little bit of a surprise to hear which songs people really grabbed early on, which was Rest My Head and Fix Me was the biggest surprise because Fix Me, that was...
I think that's like my number 1 and 2 right there.
Wow, man, that's cool,
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
I was about ready to dump Fix Me, actually, because it's just a simple song. It's really simple, and I mean, that's kind of what I intended. I was actually excited when I came up with that song, but we were just like, man, after a while, we were like, I don't know, and then he finally came up, with some melodies and came over one day, and I was like, dude, you saved it. You saved that song. I'm like, you totally saved that.
Yeah, that was the last one. We already had the other 3 songs pretty much, we knew how they were going to go. And I had some lines and stuff, but yeah, I just, for some reason, it's, the song is, it kind of sounds a little bit awkward. Yeah. And I just kind of didn't know. I changed ideas so many times, and I even told Shakes one time, I'm like, dude, I'm not sure what to do with this one, dude. Maybe we can see if one of our buddies can come up with something, or man, I just don't know. And we ended up getting together one time, just like, well, let's see if we can hash this thing out. And we kind of came up with the hook together. And that one was one of the biggest surprises for me, because if you listen to the lyrics, it's not a happy tune. Yeah. And like I said, I was really writing about how I was feeling at the time, and it's just I dug way in there, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna spill all this stuff, onto the pad. And so it's not the happiest tune, and it's not a very jolly tune. So it's we're talking about some pretty dark feelings and some pretty dark emotions in there. And I'll be damned, dude. That's one of the ones that people were like, "Oh my God, dude, Fix Me is such a great song." And I guess it has to do with what you mentioned earlier. It's just, hey man, that's the way a lot of people are feeling out there right now.
Yeah. So if people out there who have not yet heard the EP, where can they get it from? Online or anywhere?
You can get it like Amazon. What are some of the other ones?
Basically anywhere.
Like all of
Google
those.
Play.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever release hard? Did y'all ever make hard copies?
Not yet, but we're
will.
planning to.
I want one.
Yes,
Yeah. That is something I definitely want to do, and it was just, it was just kind of a time and a money thing, because it costs money to do that, of course, So I was just like, well, I'll release it, digitally first. We'll see how that does, and but we're planning on doing some shows this year, so I would love to have hard copies just to be able to sell at the shows.
So remember, everyone out there, if you do not yet have the brand new EP from Down Generation, it's called Self-Destruction. Be sure to check it out. Looks great. Look at this cool artwork. Be sure to pick it up, download it, jam it right now, get it in your hands. It kicks ass, the best in regional music. Now, guys, there's been some transition in the band that I've been hearing about, kind of with who's playing with you two guys. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, originally, this is me and him are kind of like the partners in this whole deal, and I got Bird on board. I originally asked, I was going to play guitar in the project, just because I said, well, I wrote all this stuff, I can play it. I've never really had much on any stage experience playing guitar, so.
I didn't even know you played guitar.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Shakes is the drummer extraordinaire.
Yeah, the guitar has been really an on and off thing for me ever since I was a kid. Yeah, I wanted to play guitar, and I got my buddy Robin Lopez did drums on the first show.
And you played guitar at the first show too.
First show, which was that was a nerve-wracking day for me, just because I was kind of like, I don't know, not dreading it, but I was pretty nervous about going up there and doing that. I was like, man, I hope I don't mess this all up.
There's only ever going to be that one first time, and I kind of had a feeling that first time was going to be somewhat of a little bit something special. And we did kind of, we did kind of do a little bit something special for that show, because we didn't get out there and just play, song after song after song. Obviously, there's only 4 songs on the EP, so we did the 4 songs, and we played a few covers, some of our favorite bands and stuff. And I was like, one thing that would be cool for this event is, let's just kind of sit down and let's share something special with everybody that came out there that day. So we did kind of a little bit of kind of what we're doing right now is we talked about how the band came together. So like in between songs, we did a little bit of storytelling. This song is about this, and this is kind of where this came from and stuff like that. So everybody was there that first time around. Really, I think is going to have a pretty cool connection with this band. So that was cool.
So you're back on the drums. And obviously you got to get someone to replace you on guitar.
Yeah. So, I was talking to J6, who was playing bass for us, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go back to drums, just more because of, I was like, well, if I'm gonna take this like as a serious thing, maybe I shouldn't play guitar on it, because I'm not, I'm not an experienced guitar player. I'm like, I'm doing a Cult tribute band with him now. I'm playing guitar on that. I'm like, you know what? I'll get my energy as far as guitar wise out doing, a cover band. That's fun, whatever, and it's not a high pressure situation. Obviously my forte is drums, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna take it seriously and try and get it to another, next level, I should probably be back on drums, And I called and explained it to Robin, and he was cool. He was like, dude, I understand. He was like, I was watching you at the show, and I was like, man, he's probably thinking he wants to be back here, like, bashing these songs out,
And to be frank, I think more fans would probably want to see you bashing out on those drums too.
Yeah. And we just played last week, and I was like, it was weird because about halfway through that performance, I was like, oh, this is my first time playing drums with this band. And it was actually, I was like, wow, these songs are fun to play live, because I only played them when I recorded them. That was, and then I haven't played them since, so.
So did we share who's playing guitar now?
I didn't. So I was talking to J6, and I was like, yeah, we need to get somebody on guitar. I was kind of just blanking out. I was like, I don't know who to get. And he was like, what about Steve Sonic? Steve Beltran from God Sonic, who is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. I just hadn't seen him in a long time, so I kind of spaced on that. But I was like, dude, that's perfect. So I, right after I talked to JR, I called Steve, and I was like, hey, what would you think about being a guitar player in this band? Because I'm going to go back to playing drums. And he was like, oh my God, yeah, hell yeah. He was like, that's what, he was like, what an honor and all that stuff, And I was like, no.
He's a good guy too, man.
Oh, he's a great guy, and he's a good, great guitar player, and, he's got good tone, and, he looks cool, and, he's just an all around nice guy. So yeah, I mean, it worked out perfect. Yeah.
So now you have your lineup, kind of pretty much solidified. What would you like to do now? Because we're still kind of in the first quarter of 2017. What do you guys kind of foresee for this year?
Well, we're definitely ready to get out there and start doing a lot of shows now. We're ready. We want to take this out in front of people, because, like you said, the show that we had a couple weeks ago, with the new solid lineup that we're looking at, we were all very happy, man. Very happy. I saw the videos, I saw the playback, and I was like, man, this is. Instantly, I was like, dude, we need to show this to people. This needs to be seen. This needs to be heard. So we're ready to get out there and take this to live stages. And the other thing we're just starting to do now is we're getting back together with Bird and starting to toss around ideas for new music, man. We definitely want to get a full-length album out this year. It's looking good, man. Just the first few little snippets that they've been kind of throwing me, I'm like, all right, here we go.
So Bird, whereas he was not involved in the writing process for the EP, will be involved in the writing process for this follow-up.
Yeah, actually everybody will. Yeah, nice. I still will. Steve has some cool stuff that I've already heard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's great, man. He can come up. JR told me he was a great songwriter, so he sent me some stuff, and I'm like, well, that's cool. And Bird's got all kinds of cool rock riffs, and stuff, we can use. And I've got a couple more ideas that he just recently came up with, and. JR said he's got some ideas too, so, we're basically, JR is living in El Paso right now, so it's making it hard for us it's kind of why we were in hiatus for a little bit, because it's like, man, I don't have JR here. I can't really do this without a bass player. Like, I need the group, So, he's going to be coming back, I believe this summer he's going to come back, and he was talking about moving back here. So that'll help out a lot, having him here in town. Then we can really hit it, but, till then. And he said he's got a lot, I haven't heard anything he has yet, but he said he has some stuff, so.
Well, he and Sonic, go back many years, and they've played together and they've written together and stuff. So the chemistry is definitely there. He and Bird have been together for many years, and I think Bird and I had an instant connection. I think we're starting to mesh really well on stage together, and I'm just such a big fan of his playing, and so yeah, man, it's feeling really good.
Guys, I'm so happy for you. I'm glad to see that this thing is really taking shape. I'm glad that you two guys are like a really strong foundation musically, and have really just kind of continue to build upon it instead of letting it kind of fall by the wayside, because I know you guys are just really great talents. As we end out, any last words? Anything that we may want to share with fans who will see this interview?
Well, I guess I would just like to say that, like we've talked about before, I've told Shakes about it before many times, and, I just hope that everybody knows. I just feel really lucky and grateful to be a part of this project. Me and Shakes met a few years ago now in the Seven Sun thing, and I think it was, the timing was just right for me personally in my life to meet somebody like Shakes. We became to be really good friends pretty quickly there, and he's somebody that I've kind of developed a really strong bond with over these last few years. And when he approached me about this project, I was honored, for him to ask me, because we all know who he is and where he's been and all the people that he knows. He could have asked anybody to help him, start this project, and he hit a little old me over here, so. And it was just about the best thing that could have happened to me at the time. Like I said, the last band that I had, because I had an original band for about 5 years called Bad Obsession with my brother and a few other really close friends of mine. We hit it really hard for good 5 years, and it takes a toll on you. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a little piece out of you, and that kind of fizzled out. A couple of years before I met Shakes, and like I said, for me. I was just getting around to the time where I was like, okay, I've been doing some other these side things for a while, and I was just starting to get to the point where I was like, matter of fact, I had a conversation with you at Jay's birthday get-together last year, and you were telling me, he was like, yeah, man, some of this other stuff that you're doing is pretty cool, man, but you really need to get out there with, some stuff, some original stuff, find something, man, find your niche, man, get out there and do something. And it was right around that time that, this guy just throws me this really special project, man. Like I said, it was the right time for me, and I'm just really grateful to be part of this, man, and I can't wait to share this with everybody.
Fate is a beautiful thing, and for older guys like Shakes and I, when we look back and ponder at the path that our lives and our careers have taken, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but you have to have a little bit of both. And the good thing is, Mauricio, I think you make a couple of good points. One is, you have, one of the things that I like about you is that you have this passion, and, this business is all about relationships. And, if you have good relationships, then good things will come your way. And, when I told you that back in the day, and I do remember, I think a lot of the work that you've done with cover bands and stuff kind of has led up to now this climax that you're reaching, and I honestly see nothing but bigger and better things for your future, man. Keep working hard, okay? You have a great voice, but you got to continue to work hard and make good things happen for yourself. So I look forward to seeing you, man, in the future and working with you again in the future. What about you, my friend?
Well, all I can say is I can't believe how lucky I am that I have, that I, discovered this guy, and he came into my life and stuff, and it still trips me out when I even listen to it that, like, wow, I wrote all this music, and I never imagined that something like this would have happened. So I'm very grateful for it, and I'm very appreciative of all of these guys, and the help they've given me and support and all that stuff, and it's awesome.
We continue to do what we all do because we have passion for music, man. We love it.
Yeah, and as far as something that I would like to say just to the fans out there that are kind of coming to our corner since we've gotten out there, we really appreciate the response that we've gotten ever since we came out. And I get messages, and I run into people out there at shows sometimes, and just a few weeks ago, people tell us, this is my favorite song, or this is my favorite song, or I ran into somebody at the bar the other day at Bonds, and he was like, man, rest my head, dude. I get out of work and I roll the windows down, and I'm hauling ass down the highway and I'm singing that stuff, and it's like, man, that's just such a great song. And it really is a special feeling to think, hey man, like you said, we wrote that stuff, and those are my words that this guy is out there singing on the highway after work.
I can't wait. Metal True Confessions. When I hear Rest My Head, I hit playback like 3 or 4 times. I have to hear the song about 3 or 4 times before I go to the next song on my phone. That's how much I love that song. I swear to God. Anyway, God, great interview, guys. Thank you so much, Shakes, for coming over to the studio. Thank you, Mauricio. Great to have you guys. Remember, everyone, God, Down Generation is here to stay. They're going to continue to rock us here in San Antonio and across Texas and hopefully across the nation. So keep your eyes and ears open for them. You saw them only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.